Coming up on today's show.
We've all been experiencing so many transitions so quickly, whether they're happy or sad transitions. In fact, research shows that transitions happen more frequently now than ever before.
Let's just say you're an organized person and maybe you feel unorganized right now, but then that transition comes. Today we're going to talk about how we deal with that, right?
And one of the things I notice is people really want to help us when we're in transition.
Keeping organized during a life transition today on Keeping You Organized. Well, hello, welcome to Keeping You Organized. Today we are talking about staying organized in a life transition, and I bet a bunch of you out there haven't had any kind of transition in your life in the last year. I mean, maybe it's having to move and work from home here, or maybe it's all kinds of different things that can happen in your life. But we're going to talk about how you stay organized, because sometimes it can get you derailed. So we're bringing on Ellen DeLapp, professionalorganizer.com, professional-organizer, right? We want to make sure we get that right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How are you doing today, Ellen?
Good. How are you doing, John?
Awesome. Any great transitions going on in your life these days?
Oh gosh, well, we are probably in the blessed transitions right now when we are having good health and, adding family members and things like that. So it's, but we've all been experiencing so many transitions so quickly, whether they're happy or sad transitions. In fact, research shows that transitions happen more frequently now than ever before. So it's something we're all involved in.
Yes. Well, I remember talking to a real estate agent one time, and they said, everybody, everyone changes their home every 7 years. I'm going, really? Well, I guess,
Wow.
I mean, if you average everybody out, some people move a lot more. Other people stay in their home a long time. And, home transition, I'm sure, is a big one. Moving out, my daughter's moving to another state to take a job, and she's going to have to get organized when she moves into a new place. I mean, so there's so many different things. And, let's just say you're an organized person and maybe you feel unorganized right now, but then that transition comes. Today, we're going to talk about how we deal with that, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Awesome.
We can definitely make it a little bit smoother than it has to be.
Awesome. Well, where do you want to start? What's the first thing we need to kind of think about?
Well, I'm always thinking about self-care first. We just have to have the energy to do the kind of work that we have to do when it comes to transitions. And even when we create great routines like getting adequate sleep, eating healthy, getting exercise, we just handle transitions so much better. We have more clarity. So just those routines that sound very foundational are even more important during a transition.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that it seems like just even family members that I'm dealing with that are going through different things, sometimes they just need to take a nap, right? Or just have some time to themselves. Because if you try to do too much, and you're kind of personally worn out, it doesn't really help.
No, exactly. We definitely have to keep on guard for when our tank is too low, like being sure we're filling our tank with rest and especially good nutrition, because it's easy for us to grab junk because we know we need to eat something. So just planning a little bit ahead with those grocery store deliveries, things like that can make a big difference.
I think you hit on the key element there, which is planning, because a lot of times people don't plan in self-care time or they get all their other things planned in, but they don't plan on how they're taking care of themselves. How are some ways that you've seen people plan in self-care time?
A lot of times people are turning to the weekends to be very intentional about self-care, like doing those grocery orders on Sunday, being sure that they set a bedtime for themselves. So not only the planning, but the executing of those things is really important by giving yourself a real time block to accomplish that kind of self-care. It's without a doubt required. And if we don't schedule it in, it's not going to happen accidentally.
Yeah. And I think also too, like kind of maybe even being intentional about how we put those blocks of time together. So let's say you want to get more rest, so you're going to sleep, but you also know that you like to read before bed. So setting maybe another set of time to, so, instead of going to bed at, 9:30, at 8:30, you're going to go and read in bed. And then at 9:30, you're going to go to bed. And I think some of those things too can be helpful.
Oh, totally. I think getting ready for bed early, getting in your pajamas, getting all your lotion, brushing your teeth, then being prepared for those things that help you go to sleep, like reading in bed. Those are all the ways we back up to accomplish that self-care.
Right. Now, we know a lot of times people might say, well, hey, you know what? I get a couple weeks vacation every year, and that's when I'm going to take care of myself. But then a lot of people, those workaholics out there in the audience, I know who you are, they don't ever some people don't even take their vacation. They roll it over to the next year and they think, oh, this is great. I got, extra week next year. What do you think about that?
Well, without a doubt, 94% of return on vacation is what we get. So that you take your vacation means that you're going to feel so much more rejuvenated and ready to be more productive. So research shows how important taking a vacation is. And even if you take those days where you divide them up into chunks, if you feel like you can't be gone for a week, over the summer, have 3-day weekends for 10 weeks. So whatever it takes, for sure, work in your vacation plan.
Right, right. And I know too that I know when we go on vacation, my kids particularly hate this. We tell them, all right, now we're on vacation, we're on a break, put away the phones. Because you can kind of go on vacation and still take your work with you, or, all that other stuff that causes angst and stress in our lives too, right?
Yes. The boundaries that we need to set for technology are incredibly strong, because it is way easier than we realize to get overly stimulated by going on the different social media sites. So yes, boundaries at night. Have everybody charging their phones overnight in a common charging space, not in your bedroom. And boundaries on vacation, where everybody puts their phone away throughout the day. They might have a few minutes at the end of the day to regroup. And, our kids really it's all about the photos. So the photos are what's important, like Snapchat and things like that. But at the same time, we just want to have time where we're enjoying being present and in the moment when we're on vacation together.
Right, right. Well, these are all good points. I think if we've gotten ourselves taken care of, in fact, right now we're going to take a little self-care break. But when we come back from the break, I want to talk about maybe some more of the, tactical things we can do, and what kinds of things we need to, maybe stay organized during a transition. So we are with Ellen DeLapp, professional-organizer.com, talking about keeping organized during a life transition, and we'll be right back.
The Organized Home Office from MyOrganized.life. When you work from home, your workspace doesn't have to be bland and boring. Brighten up your home office with organizing solutions from MyOrganized.life. It's just for you. MyOrganized.life. MyOrganized.life.
We're back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about taking care of yourself, self-care, but really it's all part of a bigger picture of keeping organized during a life transition. We know that, and we got Ellen DeLapp here, professional-organizer.com. Before the break, Ellen, we talked about that self-care, because usually when there is a transition, you got to take care of yourself too, because there's change. Change affects you personally. But let's talk about maybe systems or things you can use to kind of aid you in being organized during a transition.
So I love a lot of the products Smead sells. Shameless plug here.
Okay, we'll take those anytime.
Yes, the documentation that's needed at times for these life transitions, it's really important to get easy access and know where it is at all times. So Smead offers 2 different products. There's a life document kit that I love, that I think y'all have had it for a couple years, but just getting that organized now, because in case of any kind of emergency, we're always looking for those documents that are marriage, divorce, wills, all those things. So if we have them in an easy grab and go thing, like the Smead kit, it's great. Smead also has these other organizers that I like to keep, like my tax documents in, just file boxes. so that if something were to go wrong, which is pretty much happening every day right now, I can get my hands on those documents to be sure that I can do the kind of work that I need to.
Yeah.
So just getting this documentation organized is critical.
Well, and I think
something to do right now.
Yeah, I think too during a transition, a life transition. That's why that life documents organizer is so handy, and it comes with this thing called the wheel of organization, which literally tells you what documents you really need, and it takes up about this much space, but that's something you can carry with you. If you're moving particularly, you don't necessarily want to pack that in a box and hope it shows at the other end. That's something you want to carry with you in your car. Or maybe, one of the medical organizer, that's something you want to be able to take in with you when you do medical appointments. Or maybe you're overseeing, an elderly parent or something like that. So having, a smaller kit like that, but with the real critical documents is, I think, really, really helpful. And it kind of helps the transition go a little bit smoother because the things you need, it's really interesting. We just moved back into our house. A lot of people know we had a fire and we had all these boxes. And one of our cars we needed to sell, and I couldn't find the title. And I have a folder, of course. I work for Smead. I have a folder that says, auto titles, and every title for every car except this one. And so I don't know how it got messed up in the transition, but now that's causing a lot of stress. So I'm going to lead a little more self-care probably after this podcast, trying to figure out I'm going to have to replace the title. But I mean, that's things like that. You just, you need to be able to have access to, right?
Right. And by being organized ahead of time, it relieves a lot of that stress and gets a better night's sleep because you're not worried about where is the auto title and how much time is that going to take away from the things that I also want to do, but would like to do.
Yeah.
So as you're thinking about this, break it into chunks. You don't have to get it all organized in a day.
Yeah.
Just gather it up from time to time. So it's not so overwhelming.
Yeah, I know we've had some other podcasts. I don't believe you were on this one because there's a couple professional organizers out there that specialize in helping people move. And so over at smead.com/podcast, you can look for the ones that we have. There's literally kits and checklists and transition documents for moving from one house to the other, and really can make a big difference because a move is a big deal, right?
It is. And that's what I love about my colleagues is that if you need help in a special area like moving, they are experts. It takes a lot of stress away from you.
Right.
And these checklists make life less stressful because you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. So
Right.
that's another thing I love about the Smead website is you offer all sorts of checklists.
Yes.
There's a spring and a fall checklist. So it's all there for free.
Yeah, that's smead.com/checklist. Pretty easy to remember, but that's one of our most visited pages on the website because there is just this, and it's years of different checklists that have been created. Some of them are created by professional organizers. Some of them created because we did a podcast and say, it'd be great to have a checklist to go along with that. So some great resources there. So talking about bringing other people in, that's got to be another thing that is helpful, for transitional times, because sometimes you're just kind of overwhelmed and you can't do it all by yourself.
Exactly. I am such a believer in creating a big team for any kind of transition. And one of the things I notice is people really, really want to help us when we're in transition. There's all these care calendars when people have family members that are ill. There's people that are volunteering to bring you your milk if you have a medical condition. So take all the help that is being given in any way, shape, or form, because people really want to be a part of supporting you. Also think about just having easy access to your contact base. It's something I hear all the time from my clients is I kind of fell out of touch with people. So the easiest thing is just whenever information comes to you in a text, save it in your phone as a contact so that you can stay in touch all the time with people. And even I love all the group texts that people have. A lot of people hate them because there's a lot of dings that go on, but that's just a great support mechanism for you when you're in a life transition like this.
Yeah. And you may want to even set up a group text for a specific life transition,
Exactly.
a support for a particular thing. Hey, we're moving, this is my moving team, and you can bounce things off each other. So that's a great idea to to be able to, what are some other ways? Now, what if someone wanted to hire someone like Ellen DeLapp to help them during a transition? I'm sure that's available too, isn't it?
Exactly. A lot of people like a lot of ways to process information. And some of them are through coaches, some of them are from professional organizers, some of them are from clergy. It just depends. So, creating a plan can sometimes be complicated. So when you're working with a professional and looking for the expertise you need, then I can feel assured that my plan can be manageable and I can bring in the help that I need to get it done. So it's very important to be able to process that information too.
Yeah. I know you do a lot of coaching as well. I mean, because there's some professional organizers who literally come in and organize your house. And then there's others that kind of coach you through. And if someone's gone through a transition as a coach, do you say, hey, let's go back and look at what was successful in the past? Is that something that you would do?
You are speaking my language. Oh. I love it. Yes. I'm always talking about what did you do well and what strength do you have that brought that into being. And so, yes, coaching is really focused on helping people not only create awareness, but learn what made things happen well and then do more of the same thing, which is great.
Right. Okay. Well, as long as we're on the topic of using a coach and using a professional organizer, we're about to wrap up here. Why don't you let us know kind of what you're up to these days and how people can get a hold of you?
Well, thanks. I love the fact that things are so virtual right now. So I'm working with clients throughout the country on all sorts of projects, paper management, strategizing on their business, a lot of family manager projects, like I'm helping families with family meetings. So you can reach me at professional-organizer.com. I love to brag that I'm a certified professional organizer. It's our most elite gold standard for professional organizers. And I'd love to help people that need just that little boost right now. And we all are struck, with the uncertainties that are going on, everyone's going through a transition. So just getting a team member on with you makes all the difference.
Yeah, I think what's the acronym team? Together everyone can achieve more. And having a coach that can help you out with that really can help you take and move the ball down the field to where you can actually make something significant happen. So I would definitely attest to working with you or one of your great colleagues there at NAPO. And Ellen, thank you so much for this. We're kind of cruising up near the end of the year here, and who knows what's going to happen after the first of the year, right? So we all are going to probably be in transition.
Exactly.
Great.
Well, thank you so much, John. It's always great talking with you. And thank you, SMED, for everything you do for our association and our industry.
Well, thank you, Ellen. It has been just always a great experience doing podcasts with you. We've been doing this for 8 years now. And, the secret reason for doing this thing about life transitions is because we are announcing that this is the final episode of Keeping You Organized. 8 years in the making, over 300 episodes, but we've got a lot of exciting things happening at SMED now, and we're moving in a little bit different direction, and you're going to be seeing new stuff from us coming soon. But I wanted to say this last 8 years have been phenomenal. I have loved doing this podcast. I will miss doing it. And hats off to Leanne Thompson, who for years was the executive producer of this show, along with our numerous VPs that have been involved. And a thank you to the SMED ownership, who have been really great and supportive of doing this podcast. But it's time for us to transition in a little different direction. So instead of telling you to come back for our next episode of Keeping You Organized, I'll say, hey, thank you for 8 great years of this podcast. And I will see you in something else coming up very soon. Take it easy.